divinely sought out, welcomes you to a space of love, kindness, and compassion. Yes, thank you all that are out there that are watching me. Thank you all those that have subscribed, and for those that have not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like and comment. Yes, today I am here with another interesting topic for us, and I hope we are all going to enjoy it. Please don't leave, stay a little longer. We are going to hear and learn something together. So today I was here wondering, have you ever walked a certain journey, like walking, like you're footing, like you foot, not in a car, not on a bike, but you're just walking, and you walk and walk and walk, you walk. I remember when we were still young, we used to walk a lot. They would give us money, but we would prefer walking. But sometimes as you're walking, when you're almost reaching the destination, you start feeling tired. You start feeling like, oh, I can no longer make it. Maybe you feel like you want to even sit, go down and rest. So today I have an interesting story of a girl that once got into the car. She drove this car. She was on a busy road driving. She passed through the cars and all the chaos, the traffic, the what, and yeah, she was driving so well. And when she got somewhere, a certain, like almost reaching her destination where she was going, all of a sudden, she stopped and parked in the middle of the road, and she slept. While she slept, the cars that were behind tried to find their way, passing, of course, in the sides, trying to bypass her. And here she was sleeping in the car in the middle of the road. So at a certain point, she woke up, she was half asleep, and then she realized that she had parked in the middle of the road. And then the fear of being knocked off came in. And all of a sudden, she now remembered that she did not even have a driving permit. So she started to fear, and she was like, she cannot go ahead to drive this car. She cannot drive it. But remember, she has been driving this car in the traffic, on the busy road, and she had gotten somewhere. But now, here is when she's just remembering that she doesn't have a driving permit and she cannot go on. And now she's wondering, what can I do? And then she thinks that I should park this car and call someone. But she's in the middle of the road and she doesn't want to be knocked. So she decides to drive, figuring out and finding the accelerators and the what. She drove this car off the road and parked aside. But the way that she had parked this car showed that she was a senior driver. Like, she parked it like someone who really knows how to drive. And when she parked it there, she started thinking of, okay, now whom can I call to come and pick me from here? She wanted to call someone to pick her from here. But as she was there, she could also see where she was going. It was just a short distance remaining for her to reach where she was going. And in her mind, she was wondering, if I have been able to drive on that busy road, if I've been able to drive all this long, why is it that right now I am failing to drive this short distance to where I am going? And of course, to my audience out there, it is this girl. Let's say you're the one. And I know all of you have now started figuring out why this girl may be stopped all of a sudden. And yeah, we all know why she stopped. It is because fear, doubt crept in, and fear came along. And they overshadowed the whole vision that she had. She was driving so well. Yes, she felt like she was less qualified, but the mere fact that she drove this car on that busy road and reached this far, it showed that she had the potential. But what does the fear do and the doubt do? Doubt makes you feel like you are not good enough, you are less qualified. That is what the fear does. and it makes you feel like you cannot go on. It makes you feel like you have reached, and somehow if you are not careful enough, you end up giving out the keys to another person. Like, because when she was thinking about calling someone to come and pick her from here, that is an exchange. You are giving out what has been given unto you, and you are giving it to someone whom you think is qualified. This is because she started feeling like she cannot go ahead. She felt like she was less qualified, and she felt like she cannot really handle this journey, and yet she was almost closer. She was close to where she was going. So the fear and the doubts made her stop, made her park along the road. But here she was wondering, how did she drive? So when God helps you and gives you the knowledge for you to understand that the same potential that made you drive this car from wherever you were to where you are right now is the same potential that can lead you to your destination, then you can really make it to your destination. Fear is ultimately the lack. Like when you're faced with fear, that means if you allow fear to take over, that means that you are definitely, ultimately not trusting God. But what are we supposed to do in this case? You are supposed to be fearless. Somehow there is a certain saying that I always have. I know that to many, God has given much wisdom, and to some, He has given moderate, and to some, He has given less. God knows the potential in everyone. He knows we all have the potential. But if we limit ourselves, then we are going to receive less wisdom, less knowledge. So we can say maybe this girl at first she was inquisitive. By the time she got the car and drove, that showed that she was inquisitive, and she knew that she can really do it even when she hadn't gone through training, even when she did not have the permit. But because she was inquisitive, she managed to drive this car, and God gave her the wisdom to drive this car. But along the way, fear comes in, and she felt like she had had enough. She felt like she could not continue. So sometimes we limit God by not pushing, by not searching, like not making research enough, by not being inquisitive, because this girl had reached somewhere, but because of the fear, she limited herself and felt like this is where she could reach and she could not go further. But if only she could really get so inquisitive and get so motivated, like self-motivating yourself, and know that yes, the same way that I drove this car from wherever I got it from is the same way, the same grace, the same mercy that was over me is the same one that is going to lead me to where I am going. She wouldn't have parked this car. So one thing that we need to learn from this story is that we must trust the person that has already led us along this journey. I know when you're moving, when you're walking, you reach somewhere and feel like you are tired. You reach somewhere and feel like these things are not really making sense. You reach somewhere because maybe you have tried a lot. You have really tried to make things work. Let's say, even at workplaces, you have started a business and you have really come a long way, but somehow you feel like you are not really making the good profits that you are supposed to make, and fear creeps in and it makes you think like, no, Sheila, you should close this business. Sheila, close the business. Sheila, sell off the camera. You know, I'm a photographer. So when the fear comes in, you feel like you are not even good in the field, like you feel like giving up on the way, and maybe even selling off the equipment or giving them to someone else simply because you feel like you cannot really go further. But the mere fact that this business has really survived, let's say for maybe 5 years, it is still running, that means you have the potential to push this thing to the final destination, and that is the destination that God has really prepared for us. But what makes us not reach this destination? It is the fear that creeps in and the doubts that creep in. And when you give them the room to take over, they deny you of your identity, they grab the keys out of your hands, and you are falling down. But if you really trust God and know that now that I am on this journey, I have been set, and maybe you have come through a lot of turmoil, you have had, let's say it's a business, you've made losses, you had workers even going away, and somehow you are losing your way. But the moment that you have really managed to still keep this business going, and when you believe that the same God that has sustained this business is going to sustain it up to the end until you really achieve your goals, if you trust that, then you are going to make it in this life. There is nothing that can really stop you from reaching your goals. Like I said, that to some, He gives much wisdom. To some, He gives the moderate wisdom. And to some, He gives the less. Yeah? When we see, the more active that you are and inquisitive you are, God will give you wisdom. God will give you much wisdom, because this is what you are asking for. Like we're seeking Solomon. They asked him and he said he wanted wisdom, understanding, and knowledge. And God gave him that. This doesn't mean that you just ask, but he was inquisitive and he really put in practice what he wanted. So God gave him what he wanted. So we see that to some, He gives moderate. This is the time, like when you feel that those people that you have, like when you remember in class, there are those students that were not like they were not so much knowledgeable, but they were there in the middle. So somehow, if those children really give it their best, they can really get to the other end. But sometimes we limit ourselves and feel like, okay, now that I've gotten an 80 in maybe biology, I'm like, that's enough. Or maybe you've gotten 70. You're like, 70 is not a bad one, so I'll stay there. So this is the same thing. Here is where we see this young girl that was driving this car. She drove, she had the knowledge to drive, but she reaches somewhere and parks. So I think by the time she got there, she felt like, oh, maybe I've had enough. I've driven. Yeah, this distance is enough for me. I think I can stay here and let me call someone else to come and take on. And yet, God has given you the opportunity to drive and is really making you even where you're going, that it is not far. You are seeing where you are going. So the mere fact that you are seeing where you're going, that means that you are not far from where you have to be. So you have to push a little more, be inquisitive, ask for the knowledge, and God is going to enable you to reach your destination. And we see that those that are less concerned, those that are not inquisitive, maybe those that are even slept off, He gives them less wisdom, and they end up they are there. They feel like they cannot do anything. They feel like they are failures. But of course, they have a bit of knowledge within them, but they don't activate the knowledge. So one thing that I want us to learn from this story is that we shouldn't limit ourselves. The God that made you travel from wherever you came from, the God that has made you go through all the challenges and has made you reach this time, He is the same God that is going to make you reach your destination. The Bible tells us in Proverbs chapter 29 verse 25. I want us to learn to remove that fear from us. The Bible says the fear of people becomes a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord will be set on high. Don't allow that fear to put you down. Trust in the Lord and you will be set on high. Thank you all for watching, all those that have been there. I hope that this story has really made or awakened you, and it's really for you who was there trying, like maybe thinking of giving up. No, the Lord that made you move this journey, and that the Lord that has made you reach where you are is going to make you reach your destination. So this is the time that we are coming to the end of our program, and thank you all that have been there watching us. Thank you for staying on, and I pray that the Lord will take away all the fear that has crept in, all the doubts that have crept in. I hope that we have been awakened. Let us wake up from the sleep and know that the God that brought us this far is really taking us to our destination, and He is setting us on high. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for those that subscribe. And I urge all of you out there that have not subscribed to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and leave your comments in the comment section. We are still on this journey, and yes, we are going to make it. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.